Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel for another reaction. We're taking another look at Avenged Sevenfold. These guys have been around for, it seems like forever, because they've been around in the media space for decades. They've been around in pop culture for decades. They've been around in the metal scene for decades. So these guys are definitely one of the original heavy metal bands when it comes to that sort of thing. But I was never really a big fan of these guys. I knew they were there, but don't get me wrong, I do like some of their tracks. Some of those tracks pretty slap, you know, from back in the day. So it's just, I don't know, I just couldn't really get around M Shadow's voice per se. He does have that, you know, iconic, you know, raspy kind of like, you know, tone to his voice. Definitely does a lot more on the clean sort of stuff, you know, which in my opinion I kind of really didn't like, you know, his singing voice or his singing style, you know, to be honest. But you know, don't get me wrong, some songs slapped, you know, like especially Nightmare. But I feel like where this band shines is more on like the instrumental side of things, you know, the guitar playing, the riffs, the solos, the crazy melodic, you know, melodies that these guys come up with. So I could definitely see these guys being an inspiration for amongst other bands as well. I had previously mentioned before in like, you know, videos when they did like the whole, you know, Call of Duty, you know, zombies, you know, collabs from the original Black Ops games from back in the day. You know, those ones definitely slapped, and I did like seeing, you know, metal being, you know, portrayed more in the media space, you know, especially in gaming sort of thing, because you never really see that sort of thing, you know, until now. You know, it's starting to come out. But you know, back then it was fairly new, and I was like, this is pretty nice, this is pretty sweet. You know, I like seeing metal, you know, being portrayed in other forms of media, you know, pushing it to other eyes that maybe not have listened to metal. So, you know, I definitely, you know, appreciate that sort of thing. So those songs definitely held up, let me just say, but they never really hit as heavy as I wanted them to. They never really, you know, did any sort of, you know, heavy hitting breakdowns or any like, you know, screaming verses, you know, sort of thing. So they never really hit my sort of speed. But they're coming out with some new stuff lately, so I don't know, we're just gonna have to wait and see. You know, the last one we reacted to was really weird. You know, it was for, I think it was for the Black Ops 7, you know, song. I'm glad that they're still doing that sort of thing. You know, they're still, you know, reaching out to them, and they're still, you know, keeping that, you know, dream alive, you know, when it comes to like, the Black Ops collabs. I didn't play that one, but I did react to the track, you know, and it was very weird. It wasn't really what I was expecting. It wasn't really a heavy metal song. It was more like a experience. It was more like a, you know, out of this world kind of trip sort of thing we reacted to, with weird noises, weird distorted, you know, guitars, and the song and the singing sort of thing. It was not really that good in my opinion, but who knows, maybe they can redeem themselves with this new one here. And so, judging by the thumbnail, you know, it looks pretty heavy. So hopefully, you know, fingers crossed, we get some heavy ones. We get some, you know, fast playing riffs. We get some melodic playing, you know, from back in the old school days, which I'm all here for. So hopefully, because I feel like they evolved their sound a little bit too much from back in the day. You know, they changed their whole genre drastically. I feel like a lot of, you know, older school fans are kind of like falling off, just like me. So I don't know, we're gonna have to wait and see for this one, ladies and gentlemen. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe below, appreciate it, and to really help me out. And if you like Avenged Sevenfold, be sure to like on this video as well. If you're new here, thank you for stopping by, checking out some awesome music, because we're just getting started on these heavy bangers, ladies and gentlemen. And also, very quickly, I want to make sure you guys know, be sure to go check out my very first original track, Static, is out now over on my channel. If you guys are a fan of the more heavier, more grittier, heavier side of metalcore with deep sounding broad tones and deep sounding breakdowns, you guys would definitely be a fan of this one. So be sure to go over there, check it out, let me know what you guys think. If you're a fan of that one, it's gonna be plenty more coming your way in the near future, so stay tuned for that as well. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is Avenged Sevenfold's newest release track titled Goddamn. Ooh, get those double bass. Ooh, there's the old school vibe. Let's get it. Oh yeah! This is that old school heavy I've loved fell in love with. Oh, let's go in!
Can't you see we're tripping on the wire? Walking through the candy land of our desires. Press the magic button and behold the world you crave.
Oh, let's get it!
Freedom when it renders you a slave. Pledge allegiance, no flame.
Oh, lift it up!
God nation, goddamn. The devil dances with the skull.
Oh, this definitely brings in the old school vibes.
Fire keeps us warm.
Bring that Nightmare energy. Woo-hoo!
Hey, it goes beyond
Like a little clean break.
in the sky. Beyond the threat of martial
classic harmonized leads.
Keeps us tunnel vision, no man, damnation, goddamn, can't see the forest for the
I'm excited. Where are we going? What's coming next? Oh, let's go, bass man. Ooh, that whammy lead. Woohoo! Bringing ET to the party.
No form of payment, no pot of gold will satisfy the dead of
Little southern clean break here.
spilling from the houses and a trance the children lined up on the road. Losing in the paper as you lure your kids away and let them to the river.
Oh, we got everything, ladies and gentlemen. We got classics.
On his pipe, he played a song to fool them all.
Got southern vibes. Oh, we got it.
Pledge allegiance, no fear. God nation.
Need more of that double bass.
The devil dances with the scorn, and now the fire keeps us. Tunnel vision, no man, damnation, goddamn, can't see the forest for the trees.
Oh, I like this.
Can't hear the room before we
Let's go, Ben. Oh, yes. Let's get it. Let's get it. See, that's what I was hoping for, man. What was that quick little tease there? I thought we were done. Okay, a little subtle little breakdown there at the end there. But, okay, ladies and gentlemen. Wait a minute. 2017. 2017. Was this an old one? Was this an old one? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Did I react to an old one by accident? It says 4 days ago, ladies and gentlemen. Did they re-release this one? Did they update it? Did they do like a remastered or like a revised version of that track? I don't know, but I liked it. I liked it, ladies and gentlemen. Either way, old or new, it slapped. It definitely slapped. You know, if it is an old one, I can definitely see why it sounds like an older track. Let me just say. But see, this is the kind of Avenged Sevenfold I missed from back in the day. This is the one that kind of grabbed me towards them. This is the one that kind of, you know, this whole sound that got me into more metal, you know, easing my way into like the heavier stuff. This one was a good like bridge. This one is like a good gap between, you know, from what I, you know, came out of listening to being a full-fledged metalhead, if that makes sense. That whole like newer age tone, that like borderlining, kind of like poppy mixed with like, you know, alternative sort of stuff with like the weird distortions and stuff like that. I can get by. I can like, you know, throw away all that stuff. So this is what makes Avenged, if that makes sense. Their iconic tone, their iconic, you know, classic, you know, playing style with those harmonizing leads, those classic harmonized leads that I feel like is a staple for this band. You know, when you hear those high leads, you know, playing, you definitely know it's Avenged Sevenfold playing. And you know, just M has his iconic voice as well with his sort of raspiness, his southern, you know, vocals that he does for him. It makes it sound, the way I compare his singing voice to makes it sound like he smoked a pack. With no disrespect, you know, he definitely has that kind of like, you know, kind of like not so strong of a voice to him when he sings, but he can get high, you know, in some of the vocals, but he definitely doesn't. I feel like his vocals, you know, as a whole isn't as strong, isn't as prominent compared to other bands, I would say. I know years ago I saw something that maybe saw that he injured his voice, you know, from singing, so maybe that has something to do with it. But, you know, even back in the day, you know, I felt like his voice wasn't so prominent. You know, it wasn't as heavy, it wasn't as like, you know, in your face compared to, you know, other heavy metal bands. And look, I know that's their sound. I know they don't really do new growls, they don't really do screams, but even his cleans vocals I feel like isn't as strong compared to other bands, if that makes sense. So maybe that's why I kind of like, you know, didn't really favor them too much. But on the instrument side of things, like I said, they definitely hit hard, they definitely slap with those double bass, with those trebles. I wish they did that a little bit more in some of their tracks, you know, because they could definitely do it, man. They could definitely do those classic, you know, double bass sort of heavy energy. But this one definitely brought it. If it is an old one, it slaps. If it is a new one, it slaps even harder, because I don't know what the deal is with this. I don't know if they're remastering an album or something like that. But be sure to let me know down in the comments. But because this one definitely said it only came out like a couple days ago, so I don't know what the deal is with that. But kind of a little bit of Little Piece of Heaven, in there as well, especially on the chorus sort of stuff with those leads playing in the background. That one's definitely hit a banger in itself. But yeah, man, I know they came out with an album. I feel like 1 or 2 years ago or something like that. It wasn't that long ago, so I don't know what their plan is. I don't know what they're doing now. I know they tried to do this weird sort of like virtual reality kind of stuff with their past music videos, with their like concerts and sort of thing. I don't know if they're completely scrapping that. I don't know if they're just like going to what they do best, which probably is the right move in my opinion, because this is what makes Avenged. Like I said, classic metal breakdowns, classic heaviness, classic riffs, classic across the board, man. Just stick to what they do best and just get rid of all that, experimental sort of stuff, if that makes sense. But if you guys are a fan of that, it is what it is. But I feel like this sort of tone, this sort of sound, especially for old school fans, is what they would appreciate to listening to. So I don't know what's going on. Be sure to let me know down in the comments, because if they're coming out with stuff like this, I could definitely get behind this. I could definitely see myself listening to some of these tracks again. So we're just going to have to wait and see, ladies and gentlemen. But be sure to hit that subscribe button, especially new here, because going through every single band element, you know what I'm saying? On a single one. Guarantee that. And I'll see you guys in the next one.